remember I just said that it doesn't really matter what you got on your quiz. If you had difficulties on your quiz, and when you get home and you do the take-home quiz, if you're having difficulties, what do you think would be a really good idea? Watch that video. We're going to do it right now so you can follow it through and really make sure that you're good at this. These videos are available on your iPad, they're available on your Kindle, they are available on your phone, and let alone your laptop. Okay, so this first question is kind of a review question. It's easy. Oh, very easy. But it's a review question. So it's been a while since we did
I
it.
don't think I actually got it wrong.
It's choice 2. Now, when you want to know if something is a function, let's go back to when we talked about functions, okay? Every element in the domain must have only one image. You can't have two different images, which means every element of the domain must appear once and only once. Well, look at the table. Aren't there two 2's? That means the input of 2 gives you a positive 6, and the input of 2 gives you a negative 6. That's one input, 2 outputs. It's like Family Feud. I'll do my best Steve Harvey. Some of the answers on that show are hysterical. Okay, choice 3, I'll do that because it's the next one over. The other thing you can do is what we call a vertical line test. There are several things you can do. Vertical line test, if you don't remember, says draw a vertical line through the graph. If you touch in more than one place, it is not a function at any point in the graph. Now the reason it's not is this could be the point 2,6, and this could be the point 2, -6. The bottom line is the input of 2 has what? Two different outputs.
You only have one output.
That's right. Every input has a unique output. Next, look here. Here's my inputs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. That's a function. And then over here, this is just a line, right? Y equals 2x plus 1. If I was to graph it, it would look like a line. Is it possible to fail the vertical line test here? No. So this is a function also. So which ones are functions? Choices 2 and 4. Anthony.
Oh, wait a minute.
All right, you just winding up with a pump? Okay. So are we all good on number 1? Okay, now you know I changed things on the quiz today. So I'll bet I changed something in the table here, or maybe I changed the graph, or maybe I changed here, something like that. Maybe I changed the choices. Who knows what it is? But when you go home tonight, you apply the same logic, and you will be able to handle such questions. That's very strange that I don't have a thing here to slide up and down with. I'll have to go over to my laptop. Okay, so now we get to the next question. The inequality. And the good news is that people started doing it the right way. The bad news is not too many people finished it the right way. I would say less than half the class got the inequality fully right. So let's go through it together. Ready? What kind of 3 is this?
Negative.
So I'm going to distribute the negative. So I want to get over on the left here, 7x minus 12x plus 24 less than or equal to, let me do this all over again because it's getting sloppy. Distributing the -3, I get 7x minus 12x plus 24 is less than or equal to. Now on the other side, I'm going to do a little combining like terms here. 6x and -3x, God bless, and -9x is -3x, God bless, plus 12, a little combining here, -5x plus 24 is less than or equal to -3x plus 12. Okay, now, we're kind of at a crossroads here. Generally speaking, if this was an equation, we always start with the smallest number of x's, which means I would add 5x to both sides. A lot of you did that on your paper. The other possibility is that you add 3x to both sides, because with inequalities, we always want to end up with the x on the left. It's very important to end up with the x on the left. So I'm going to add the 5x because I want to emphasize a step we did a while ago, okay? So I'm going to start with the smallest number of x's, and I do really like to keep the x's positive with inequalities, because remember, if I multiply or divide by a negative, what do I have to remember to do to the sign?
Flip it.
Flip it. So I got to be careful about that. Can I die? 24 less than or equal to 2x plus 12 minus 12.
You must die.
12 is less than or equal to 2x. Divide by 2. 6 is less than or equal to x. However, that's awkward. Why is that awkward? I think you're saying the right thing, but that's what you have to do. It's not what makes it awkward.
The variables on
The variable's on the right. To adjust for that, we're going to end up flipping the sign. So let's go over here, and remember, the key to flipping this stuff around, if it points to the 6 here, what does it have to do over here? Point to the 6. Okay, so now I put the x on the left. Now think of these statements. Is this a true statement here? Carissa weighs less than Mr. Lindquist. Mr. Lindquist weighs more than Carissa. Are those, obviously those are the same exact statements, are they not? Okay, you better hope it stays that way. Now, 6 is less than or equal to x, or x is greater than or equal to 6. It's the same statement. All you need to do to remember when you want to switch which side the variable is on, points to the 6 here, points to the 6 there. Lipstick.
I got like, before I did the final answer, I got negative 2x is less than or equal to negative 12.
Then you divide and you get
That's why I
x
did
is
too.
greater than, because you got to flip the sign.
Yeah, but it's, the answer is not negative.
Well, I would say that probably in a step before that, you messed something up and you're off by a negative sign somewhere. More than likely, okay? Yes?
I added 3 to both sides instead of adding 5, and I
Right.
got a different answer. I didn't get equal to. I
You-
just got x is greater than 6.
Oh, it started or equal to, it has to finish or equal to. You can't just drop that sign. Okay, so now the next part is about interpreting your answer. The next part says, over the bounded interval, and it says the word integers. What does integers mean? Whole numbers, positive, negative, right? It says over the interval from 4 to 8, integers. What are the integers? And it's brackets, so it means includes it, from 4 to 8. Somebody tell me all the integers from 4 to 8. Ready, go ahead. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which of these guys are greater than or equal to 6?
6, 7, 8.
6, 7, and 8. That is your answer. Okay? Well, look, we're interpreting, guys, listen, we are interpreting our solution. X is greater than or equal to 6. This is saying any number that's greater than or equal to 6 is part of the solution set. Remember when we did inequalities and we talked about cyberspace and numberland? And we said floating out there in numberland are all of these numbers. And when you solve an inequality, you don't come up with just one answer. There are infinite answers.
How do you know it's 6?
I just arrived at x is greater than or equal to 6 by solving the equation, or the inequality.
Oh, it's based on the other one.
Yes!
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. If x is a number in that interval, okay, satisfies the given inequality. Okay? So now you look at these answers, which ones are greater than or equal to 6? 6, 7, and 8. And that's what you know your answer is. Okay? Everybody much better now than you were a little while ago?
Yes.
Okay, so you do the take-home quiz part of this tonight. If you have any problems, feel free to work together on it. And if you still have issues and you cannot work with somebody else, feel free, even if you work with somebody else, to rewatch the parts of this video. It will remind you of everything that went on, and I am sure the knowledge will be cemented. Remember, it never matters what you get the first time. It only matters that the first one exposes to you the kinds of things you need to do better at, and then you begin to improve and get better at those things. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes. What enthusiasm. Does that make sense to everybody? There we go. A little bit of pep in that step. Okay. Can you tell last night, for like the first time in the longest time, I didn't ride the bike, so I had a little extra energy tonight. I wasn't up for an hour and a half doing 25 miles. But I will ride the bike today, without a doubt. Okay. Now, I take a look at number 1 here, and I immediately want to puke. Number 1 looks really, really ugly. What is it that at first glance makes you think number 1 is really, really ugly? Chloe. Yeah, that x cubed doomahickey there. I haven't taught you anything about how to solve x cubed, guys. So,
I think it kind of did with real, like, when they're like doing the Lego flying. Equations like x minus 5 and x plus 5, like 2 2x and x squared become 2x cubed.
That's right, and that's why I specifically, Anthony, used the term at first glance. At first glance, you see this 2x cubed guy here, and you're like, start hyperventilating, start getting scared. I'm scared, I don't know how to do this. But then you don't panic. You take a step back. You say to yourself, all right, what do I know works? What can I trust in? Stay in the moment. When you get ahead of yourself, when you start thinking the worst is pending doom, then we have major issues and major problems. They both have a 2x cubed on both sides, so when I subtract 2x cubed from both sides, I get die. Combining like terms here, I get 3x equals 9x.
Didn't do that right at all.
This is getting very strange. What's that?
I didn't do this right at all.
Okay, minus 3x from both sides. 0 equals 6x. Divide by 6.
Wait, why don't you divide by x? Don't you
Because you want to get letters on one side, numbers on the other. And then I get x is 0.
What?
Now, hey, let's go back and see if it checks. Ready? Awkward as it seems, let's see if it checks. 2 times 0 is 0, so 0 times this thing is 0. What's 7 times 0? 0. What's 9 times 0? What's 9 times 0 cubed?
0.
So 0 equals 0, check.
I just
What
did
the
it
Okay.
kind of
What
right.
do you mean by that?
Oh, wait.
Well, the key here is there were no sole numbers by themselves. Okay, next up. A poll shows that a candidate is projected to receive 57% of the votes if the margin for error is plus or minus 3%. Write a compound inequality. So the first thing I want to do is express this as a decimal. So if it's plus or minus 3%, it'll be 54% to 60%. Make sense? So 0.54 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 0.60 or 0.6.
Oh my god, I did that.
Okay, yes,
Where did he get 0.54%?
because it's plus or minus 3%. So 57% minus 3% is 54%. That's the decimal.
Oh, I did it? Okay.
All right? Kaylee?
Oh.
Does it matter if you like write the opposite way, like put 60?
You want to go low, high, just like a number line. Okay? Any other questions? Yes?
Is there the percent value instead of the decimal value?
That's a really good question. I suspect that this would be a multiple choice guy, and I further suspect they would never write it as a percent, they would write it as a decimal. Okay? All right, so let's go to today's lesson. No time for the homework today, I apologize. Time to tackle one of the algebra problems that often frustrates students. We're going to spend many days doing this, so let's get rocking. The next classic word type problem is an inequality. So, let's solve this guy. And we've already talked about a few things today that'll set it up. Solving this is very easy. First step, everybody.
Subtract 10.
Subtract 10. Good. Die. 5q greater than 10. Divide by 5. What do I get? Q. Well, you see, it's interesting that Spencer would say 2. 2 is not an answer.
3,
3 is an answer.
4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6, 2.5, 2.1, etc. We summarize those answers by saying any number q that's greater than 2. Now remember that analogy about cyberspace, okay? If I want to Google Central Asian Shepherds to find all the ones I could get, I don't get back just one answer. How many answers do I get back? I get a ton of them back. Now if I wanted to Google Central Asian Shepherds, New York State, Long Island, Empire State Central Asian Shepherds, Ziva. It's so specific you'll only get one website back. But without that, you will get all the possible websites. Well, when you solve an inequality, you're not getting one possible numerical solution, you're getting an infinite number of numerical solutions. In this case, the solutions are any number that's greater than 2. 1,000,000 is a solution. 2.00001 is a solution. 2 and 1 billionth is a solution. 2 is not, because 2 is not greater than 2. Is 1 a solution?
No.
Is 0 a solution?
No.
That would be like Googling Central Asian Shepherds and coming up with a website about poodles. It's a wonderful thing, they exist, but they don't satisfy the search conditions, okay? Here, we want numbers that are greater than 2, all right? So, that's the emphasis I want with this question, to interpret or understand. Now, what if, like on the previous thing, I said this? What would this, and they're all integers, what would the solutions be? AJ?
3.
3. 0, 1, 2, and 3 are the integers that are possible because they're in the interval, but only one of them is greater than 2, namely the choice 3. And that's straight out of the second part of the quiz from last night. Okay, so now, rewrite the inequality as a compound sentence. That goes like this, ready? X is greater than 0 and X is less than 3. Both of those things are going on. In other words, one of them is that 0 is smaller than X, 0 is less than X. That's what we said before about Carissa being lighter than or less than Mr. Lindquist's weight. But then, another way to interpret that is not just to say Carissa is less than Mr. Lindquist, I could also say what? Mr. Lindquist is more than or greater than Carissa, and clearly we're talking about weight, not personality or anything else like that. So, the other part of this is right here. X is less than 3. So both of these are going on at the same time. X is greater than 0 and X is less than 3. Graph it on the number line. Everybody agree? What is very important to remember when you graph that answer? Spencer?
Open circles.
Open
and
circles.
The line between.
Very good. And yes, definitely shade that line in between. Don't put a very light little line. It must stand out from the number line. Are we good? Okay, next up. How many solutions are there to the inequality? Somebody who hasn't helped me yet. Come on, let's go, hands up. Janelle?
2.
Well, if I was dealing with integers, there would be 2. But if I'm dealing with all real numbers, infinite, right? A lot, yes, a lot is an understatement. Every time you think you've arrived at the final number of them, you can get another one just by splitting it in half. Okay, what are the largest and smallest possible values for x? If it's an integer, what's the largest possible value? AJ?
2.
Good. If it's an integer, what's the smallest possible value? Evan?
1.
Nice. What if they're rational numbers? Largest value? AJ?
2.9.
No, because I could do 2.99.
Oh.
There is no largest value. Okay, there are infinite number of answers, but there is no largest value. Because as soon as you think you've arrived at the biggest number next to that's less than 3, I could just add a 0.9 or a 0.1 or a 0.001 at the end, and it's always a little bit bigger.
4.999999999.
That's exactly right. An infinite number of nines. Okay. Question, AJ?
So, if you would put 2.9 repeating, wouldn't that technically?
No, because I could do 2.99 repeating, and then whenever you get to the one that you want to say is last, I could put another one at the end of that.
Well, yeah, but like, what if you put a cap over it, implying that it's repeating forever?
But then, are you telling me the number? All right? You can always create a number that goes further, a number that goes on and on and on.
Well, yeah,
and
but
on.
like, it's kind of like writing 2.9 infinity. Does that count?
When you arrive at whatever your number is, and you want to say, there it is, that's the number, okay? Let's say it's here. And then I have an open circle here. I can always split and take the one in the middle. Okay, so there is no definite, definitive biggest one. Next. If the inequality is changed to less than or equal to, then what are the largest and smallest values? What would the smallest value be, everybody? 0. The largest? 3. Good. And this is supposed to emphasize the difference between an open circle and a closed circle and so on. Write a compound inequality for numbers 2 and 3. Go ahead. This is the walk like an Egyptian question. God bless. Okay, so what's the first compound inequality? AJ,
X is less than 1 and
or,
4.
whenever they go, walk like an Egyptian, opposite directions, always or, whenever they head to each other and you get a bounded interval, always and. Okay, go ahead.
Or X is greater than or equal to 3.
Good. Okay, next one. Spencer.
X is greater than 2 or X is less than 2?
Yeah, and we like to do the less than first,
Okay.
or X is greater than 2. What's the only number in the universe that's not an answer to the last one? 2. Any questions?
Yeah.
Preguntas? Yes.
I know X is greater than or equals, greater than or less than 2. I didn't make it like that.
Yeah, do you see how the directions said compound inequality?
Oh,
That's code for make it like that.
okay. So,
Alright.
okay.
All right, any other questions? All right, so your job is tonight, quiz, and homework. Do a great job with those things. Make the two of them make sense. You can let your parents know about what you got going on in class on Friday. I think you're gonna find some really cool stuff about how mathematics can help in decision making and leadership and so on and so forth. Spencer, get the hood down, buddy. No gangbanging urban look going on here.